Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the 2019 Chevy Silverado RST. Just for proof, let me go back here and show you RST. Now you'll notice that the RS is red still for the typical RS badging. RST stands for Rally Sport Truck. It is a actual trim level on not only the Silverado but the Tahoes, the Suburbans. Though it doesn't offer you any crazy engines or performance, it gives you quite a few outside features, and we'll focus on those on the Silverado. One being the black bow tie, the red crossbar here on the front fascia. You only get this on the RST or Custom, but Custom, however, gives you a whole different front fascia, more so just the bar in the middle. It turns into a metal bar that just says Chevrolet with a cutout in the middle. It's pretty interesting. I do like the new fascias for these new trucks. Look at the headlights. The headlights look mean. Day or nights, these headlights work above what they should be able to do. And for clarification, what I might be saying in my own personal way is these lights are definitely bright enough for anything that you might need to do owning your Silverado. You'll also notice these lights that are blinking on camera are actually not blinking. These are your DTRLs, pretty small, but I like that they kept it a subtle touch. Most cars have DTRLs nowadays, but Chevy decided to keep these ones a little bit more subtle. You have your fog lights here on the bottom by your tow hooks. On the outside, moving down the side of the car, you have 18-inch rims on the trims above this RST, which is a pretty high trim. If you're not familiar, the Silverado comes in a trim higher with the LTZ and the High Country, both leading the way. High Country being first, LTZ being second. Both those packages you can purchase. 20-inch rims, 21-inch rims, many different styles, black, silver, alloy, all types. The mirrors, as you'll see on here, are painted a black, and on the two higher trims, these will be painted chrome. Speaking trims, it's important that we say that these trims are very selective for whatever you might want for your Silverado. There is the most, and I did not start saying that, the most amount of trim levels available by any car manufacturer, well, I should say truck at this point in time, is on the Silverado. You start at the work truck, work your way up into the Custom with the Custom grill. You have your regular base LT, then you work your way up to this RST right here that we have. You have the Custom LT, which is a more beefed up package of the Trail Boss kit, which gives you a 2-inch lift as well. Then you have the LTZ and the High Country. But let's take one more look at this truck, because this truck particular with this red in the front and the black bow ties really puts the icing on the cake. Come back down to the fob. This button here, actually double tap it, opens up your tailgate. Now, unfortunately, if you double tap it again, you'll hear it just engages. It doesn't come back up. Now, on the High Country, you have the industry's first lift tailgate, where you can press this button again when the truck bed is down, and it will lift up automatically. You also have, if we come in here, you have the same button that you would find, does the same thing right here. You do this, and voila, your tailgate is open yet again. Now, also, before I forget, you also have a button back here. You most of the time, or on some of these Chevy models, it'll be here, but on this one, I actually do like this. You have your cargo lights for your truck bed right there. You press that, you get a little yellow indicator on the button, and kind of hard to tell in the daytime, but you can see right there that your lights are on. You have one if I can get my finger out of here, you have one up there, you have one on this back side, and you have two on this side back here. Some only come with two, some come with four in total, but all in all, you're getting very good light coverage in the back, which is a very overlooked thing for people that use these trucks for work, because many of the times, when does your work day end when you buy a Silverado or a truck of this caliber? Your work day ends at night, offloading whatever you hauled to your destination, and that is a big help, especially when you have truck bed covers, which make a very dark environment in the back of your truck bed, even in the middle of the day. So you see how the cargo lights actually do have a lot of use. Now, moving on to the inside, the Silverado does have quite a few things that are different this year. You take a quick look around, you'll see very quickly that your last generation Silverado did not have nearly as many buttons in here, and I'm here today to show you what all of these buttons do. Lining the steering wheel, over here on the side of your dash, on your door, on the center console. The infotainment system is the same like the other Chevy models that all are being featured 2019. They all feature a very good, most of them feature, that are in this higher class of trim. They feature this screen, the one that I reviewed, if I can speak correctly, in my Blazer review. We're not going to go through all the connectivity and stuff in here, but you see how responsive yet again this screen is. You have something I figured out since the last time I've been on here, is no matter what you're doing, no matter how fast you're going, you have the opportunity to get into here, and this is your camera app. This works better on cars like the Blazer that have that 360 camera, have cameras in the front, down the side. Although this truck doesn't have it, there are trims that do have 360 view, have your slew of cameras so you can see every angle you could possibly want to see while you're driving your Silverado. And the cool thing about this is to comply with federal regulations and being with distracted drivers and whatnot today on these roads, you have, which is not displayed right now, there'll be a little white X up here while your car is in gear. Whatever speed you're moving at, it will give you a timer. I believe it's 5 seconds. After that 5 seconds, it cuts right off and goes back to your home infotainment screen. You have all your hot buttons down here, no navigation, so that is substituted with your phone and contacts. Everything is very simple in this infotainment. The home button is right here, you'll never forget it. Left, right seeking on FM, AM, XM, anything else you want to use, you connect your phone to it, you can all do it through there. You can also do it through these clever little buttons on the back of the steering wheel. Up on the steering wheel, the ones up here, is going to be next, cycle to the right, whatever, same as this button here. If you go down, there's two buttons on this one side. So the top one goes next, the bottom one goes previous. As well on this side, you have two rocker buttons on the back. One is volume up and one is volume down. It sits very good in your hand because most people do drive like this. So you'll always have access to that if your hands be on the wheel, which shouldn't be a problem for anybody. You have your buttons here, much like the Blazer that I reviewed, that you can go through all your things in your little mini infotainment, as I like to call it. It's right here in the middle of your speedometer. You can go through all your pages. This even has things that the Blazer didn't have. Brake pad life. I don't know when's the last time you've seen that in a car. You got your music, navigation. This car actually does not have navigation from the factory, so this navigation comes in more so when you have your phone. How am I trying to say this? Put your phone through your USB. You can use it through Apple CarPlay, it'll come up, And I believe, I could be wrong, that if you just hook up your phone USB and you go to your navigation, it will come up on here. I know for a fact, however, with Apple CarPlay, at least here you will be able to see your navigation and even a map when you don't have navigation running. Moving on even further, we have the controls on this side. You have your cargo bay lights, as we demonstrated before. You have your fog lights. I think this is a pretty interesting place for it, but it is not out of place considering that you have all your light controls here. You have your cabin light levels here. You can switch those up and down with the push of a button. Now up here, this is actually drive modes. As right now you can see we're in sport. You can turn it off by going to the same direction. So since we were in sport, we went right yet again, and it cut us right out of the sport mode. If we go all the way to the left, you have a trailering mode. And you'll notice that this is actually not a second button, because usually that trailering mode button is right here on the end of your shifter. And one personal opinion point to touch on for me in the Silverados, all General Motors trucks really, I love them with a passion, but I do not, although this is a truck and it doesn't matter about manuals, I don't like this. The clicking of buttons to switch up and down in the gears on your shifter, I feel like that's out of place. I feel like, and I do trust that they will find a better spot for this in future models. If you come back down here before I finish, you have your parking brake right here. You press it as so. Same way, press your brake and press the button as again to release the parking brake. And if we come over here, start moving into practicality, you have a top glove box. You have a bottom glove box, both full of space. You have a center console full of stuff. You have this center console also full of stuff. Well, not full of stuff. You know what I mean. You can fill, and I mean absolutely fill these things. You have up here, you have your wall outlet, 12-volt outlet. You have your lighter hole. This is your trailing brake gauge. You have your USB, micro USB. I believe it's got a different name. I think it's like USB M or something, but I'm just gonna call it micro USB for right now. It's got a USB symbol, close enough. This button here, haven't figured out exactly what this is. This is, I believe, for this outlet here, so you can actually turn it on and off just like that. That way you're not sapping your power if you don't want to be using it, which is a smart idea considering people don't really realize how much this outlet actually does take from the battery of your car. And the last thing you would want is to be stuck on the side of the road in your 2019 brand new Silverado. And finishing up on the front, you see this interior. The RST can come with leather. These ones are cloth. They're not anything too crazy, nothing too cheap. It's a fine, sturdy material, and you still comes with these heated seats here that are 3-way adjustable. You can just press them the same way, press it 3 times to turn off. Come back over here to the steering wheel, because I did forget to cover the steering wheel. These are your cruise control buttons, and for those that actually don't know, because I was not aware, cruise control in Chevy vehicles for people has been a confusing road to figure out, apparently. So to demonstrate, you put your first stroke on this button here, and you get this icon, you get your cruise control icon. Now, because I'm sitting in a parking lot, it's not going to work, but you move your scroll down onto set, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You set it right here, and it will display a number. And when that number is displayed, you can move this up and down to change the speed of your cruise control. You can press this to completely cut off your cruise control, or of course press the brake. And to turn off cruise control again, press the button one more time, and it's completely gone. Also on this steering wheel have your heated steering wheel right here. Very easy to use. Just press the button and the light comes on indicating it's on. I do not like that there are blank buttons. Blank buttons are a pet peeve of mine in cars. This is your audio mute button, and this is your voice control button. And as we covered, this takes control of your mini infotainment system. The topic of buttons that don't have purpose, it's not so much a deal breaker in cars of this caliber. These are very nice cars, of course, trucks, let's say trucks, because we're in a truck. The button here is also a fake button. These two buttons on the side are also fake buttons, but I will give the excuse to the Silverado for that, because in higher models like the LTZ and the High Country, these are assigned to other things like your running boards, which you can get auto running boards running out of the side. You have other things that can be programmed into those. My bad because I'm not remembering exactly what they are. You come up here, the final place for buttons, you have this little lever out alongside all your garage buttons that you can program and whatnot, your dome lights. You have this here, which if you notice, if you heard, that actually opens the back. Very cool touch, because not many trucks still nowadays actually make that a automatic gauge. You can't pull a lever and do it. You have to actually go back there and open it up. Let's go ahead and get in the back, show some people what it's like in the back of a Silverado. The seat up there is up quite a bit, so don't assume that there's a crazy amount of space, but there is actually a very nice amount of space. There's not quite that much. That's legendary space. This is good above what you wanted space, and especially in a truck. You have to remember a lot of the times with space that this is a pickup truck, and pickup trucks nowadays are actually starting to be that more people will buy a pickup truck before they buy a crossover, a van nowadays, more so because the practicality that you get in these trucks, you don't miss much out of what you might get in, let's say, a Grand Cherokee, as there's one passing by, or a minivan. If you only got 2 kids, you got 4 people to carry around, this is probably the way to go if you want to get a little bit of horsepower under there, feel a little bit of power, be able to get work done, be able to haul whatever you need. You still don't miss out on comfort, practicality in these trucks. Now, in the back, things that cater to you, you have your lighter hole here, you have another USB, you have a micro USB, you have 2 vents in the back, which are under the control of the front, which is good. I don't feel you really lose out too much from not having that front control, considering that this is a truck, so the cabin does get very affected by the heat or cool that you decide to put on in the cabin. Also, a fine point I wanted to touch on is that this center ridge here is very, very small. And for anybody that has been in a pickup truck, you understand that ridges like this are very, very annoying for those that have to sit in the back. But although it doesn't necessarily stop you from riding in the back of the truck, this is something I will say is proof that Chevy is listening to you, the customer, because nobody in the car industry saw this as an issue. I will say that it's not an issue for them to build it that way with a big hunch in the middle of this floor. But since they hear you and since they care, they made it just a bit smaller for you. And I wouldn't be shy to bet that in the next generation, we completely see the hunch all gone. You have your cup holders in the back here that come out of the middle of your seat. You have cup holders back here, which is a fine little touch. I think that that's a good spot for your cup holders in the back rather than being here, because usually these ones are a little smaller. They can be a little shaky. It's not shaky at all coming out of the seat here, but you got more cup holders. Yay, cup holders. Oh, and we also definitely cannot forget this, talking about practicality. You have even more storage space right here in the door. I mean, not in the door, in the seat, excuse me. You have one on that side as well. And of course, in case you needed to know, the seats do fold up as well, giving you even more space and access to this little cubby in the bottom here. All right, so time to get those impressions. 19 RST Silverado, taking off from home right now. This is, because I didn't say it earlier, this is the 5.3 liter V8. This is the Ecotech engine. The Silverado also comes with a V6 engine. I'm not sure the exact amount of volume on that engine. It also comes with a 6.2 liter V8, which has been featured in trucks of Chevy and GMC for a while. It's a very reliable engine, 420 horsepower. I'm not exactly sure of all the specs on this 5.3 liter, but it does definitely give you a good rough feeling to it. It's definitely not something you're really missing out on by not getting the big 6.2. This 5.3 has definitely caught up to the 6.2 in past generations of this truck. Kind of threw me off there. There's an auto stop on this truck as well. One more thing that I didn't say. Going on about the auto start stop in this truck, however, unlike the Blazer, and I would assume because of course that's a V6 engine, this is a V8, the auto start stop is good, it's responsive, but however it's not as fast to start as soon as you come off that brake at a stoplight. So you do have that little small window of time where you're not really moving, you're just waiting for your car to come on. It's not anything crazy, nobody's gonna honk at you at a light or anything like that, but just so that you know what you would be getting into buying this truck has the auto start stop. It works better than most, but it still has room for improvement, which isn't a deal breaker in my opinion, because you can go right down here and switch it off. That's one of the beautiful things about it, and about a lot of the features that they're offering in these trucks and vehicles at Chevy, is that a lot of these new groundbreaking features, if you're not a big fan of them, or even if the rest of the world is and you specifically just can't stand auto start stop, they put it in there just for that one person so that you can turn it off and really make this truck cater to exactly what you want. Going back to that engine, the 5.3 liter, it has, I mean, of course you're not gonna buy this truck to rev bomb anybody. This truck has very little noise, which is very surprising, because usually trucks have a lot of noise. It's tall, you got a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts. Every little bump you might get a little sound or something. This truck, you have a very sturdy feel to it. Sorry if my camera's bouncing around, I'm experimenting with a new rig here. Don't let the camera bounce around do justice. I'm going over crosswalks right here, and I don't know what they're called. Don't get on me for going over crosswalks, and not actually crosswalks. There's little brick paths for people to walk across the street. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm going over them with very little response, and it just eats it right up. You're not getting much of the throw around head rocking and stuff. But yeah, going back to the engine, because I get sidetracked very easily. The engine is not a very loud one. It's not a very like performance commanding engine. It's an engine to get the job done, and in this car it seems that the focus has been more so about comfort, which I do very much condone in these trucks. So comfort wise says quiet, so therefore you don't hear the V8 running through gears and revving up all extra hard in this truck. It is very subtle, very tame. Oh, we're at this stoplight. See if, and I'll give an exception, as much as you know that I don't like drive modes that don't do much. And we're not going to test the trailering mode, because the trailering mode is very obvious. It gives you more torque, it gives you a little bit more control while you're driving with a trailer behind you. We're gonna try out the sport mode here, and from first impressions driving with this, I believe that this gives no difference to your steering, which isn't always welcomed in the cars that it's in. I'm kind of happy they didn't put it in this Silverado specifically, because you don't want tighter steering in a truck. Like, I don't care who you are, you have no reason to have tighter steering in a truck unless you're bringing that truck around a racetrack. However, you do feel some of a difference in your throttle. It's not a whole bunch, but for those that know the different feeling of your gears, you'll quickly notice that this truck will allow you to go a little deeper into your gears. The gearing changes, allows you to run a little bit harder, a little bit more into a gear before that 8-speed automatic just decides to switch you into the next gear and bring you to the next level of comfort and cruising. It will more so let you ride it out, rev up to around 3,500 RPM or however hard you're being on that throttle, and it will get you there a little bit more faster. It'll give you a little bit more of a sport feel, which is a good thing, especially being that this is the RST. You don't want to stick the RST, RS, because it's still the same RS badge, same RS branding. You don't want to put the name Rally Sport on something that's not at least going to address a little bit of having fun on the road and really enjoying what you're in. The RS brand, but the RS badge is something that people wouldn't really pick up on, but is a very well-known thing. People don't know exactly what it means, but most people understand that RS is, now we're getting somewhere where Chevy is getting serious. We're getting somewhere where Chevy applied a little bit more attention to a vehicle to make it feel a little bit more sporty. So we're getting on a highway here, and hopefully I got better luck merging onto this highway than I did in my last video. Oh yeah, the Silverado takes right off. It was reasonably loud, but if you can pick that up on camera, you'll see that it's still quiet, which is good, because some car manufacturers take that off their agenda and their things to look out for, keeping the car quiet in a comfort vehicle just because you are going fast or whatever. They want you to be able to hear it, and for some people that's the some people that's what you want. Some people welcome that, but others more so, if you're buying a car for comfort, everything comfort first, everything else comes second, at least, to that. So I do applaud them on making it not bonkers loud or anything when you get on the pedal. It's still very quiet, and this whole time you've seen I've been riding in just seamless. It's like of course this is starting to be more and more common in cars nowadays, but in a truck, to be able to ride as comfortably as you do in Silverados and trucks in this trim, let me remind you, as you see, these are the cloth seats. The leather seats will add a whole different ball game to this. You get the automatic cooled and heated seats. Whenever you come in, your seats will be cooling, your seats will be warming, depending on what the temperature is. You have, of course, leather is a lot more comfortable than cloth, and you get a whole slew of other materials. You can get a roof in here, a sunroof. You can get, I believe you can get a panoramic sunroof on some of these trucks. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, but I do know that you get a sunroof. And working with this little Escape window, I say, in the back right there, the one that slides, that is, in my opinion, one of the best pairs you can get for your natural airflow fans. The ones that don't like putting the AC on all the time. You open up your sunroof a little bit, open up that back window, and you got air rushing through here the whole time. It's perfect. But I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna stop rambling. This has been the review of the 2019 Chevy Silverado RST. Thank you for the view, thank you for the love. Show your support, if I can speak. Click that subscribe button, comment, like, and more content will be coming soon. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.